Hey, what is going on YouTube? Aaron here. We are back, ladies and gentlemen. And guys, we've got a little bit of a different style video for you guys in this one here today, so I hope you guys enjoy it. Let me know in the comments down below if you do. We are, of course, in the Lüshun here, a very strong Tier 8 destroyer. She was released last update, and if you guys actually remember on my first look video, I kind of messed up my standard build. Now, I used to be one of those people who I had a specific build for almost every type class of ship. Now, of course, there are gunboats, torpedo boats, DPM cruisers, agile cruisers, etc. And I very rarely swayed away from those builds. But after playing the same game for going on 5+ years now with the same exact builds, that can get pretty boring. So what we did is we went ahead and switched it up, and we tried to have a little bit of fun. And the particular build we're running is shown right here. Za Zenbing instead of the typical Deng, with the main base trait there of Tin Opener, which increases the minimum ricochet angle of your AP. On top of that, we of course have Observant Rage. And here's one which I typically don't use, which is of course Mortar. And in the third slot, I actually went with Reaching Out instead of Perceptive and or Twist and Track. I know that's potentially a questionable pick, but again, I was trying to have fun, trying to test my skill here. Smoke on the Water in the fourth slot is really the only logical choice, and then of course Unstoppable. Billy Sims as our inspiration, as well as Eric Bay. You could argue that Bay was kind of wasted here, but having that touch concealment under 6 kilometers does help just a little bit. And I know some of my DD guys out there are going to be like, you got to run the double concealment. And guys, if you have to run double, triple concealment on every destroyer you play, I hate to break it to you, but you're probably not a great destroyer player. All right, but let's go ahead and get back to the action. Now, this was actually before the carrier rework, so the GJ there was spotted by RCV, which, again, I just think is something they should rework. He panics and smokes up, and smoking up in front of a Lüshun or any Hydro Destroyer, as this guy is going to learn, you're going to have a bad time. Now, we end up throwing some zoning torpedoes towards him, which is probably not a great idea considering that the Bismarck has Hydro. On top of that, that destroyer will spot those torpedoes for the Bismarck, and he won't get hit by them. But what we're going to do is pop our Hydro here, go ahead and push in, and absolutely abuse this lad with our gunboat build. I almost feel sorry for what's about to happen, but this guy slowly is pushing back in. I don't know if he knows that these deep water torpedoes can't hit him. He probably already thinks he's dead, and well, he is dead anyway. Despite the German Renaissance destroyers having more HP than the standard destroyer, it's not going to matter. He's being focused by our team. Another little tip and trick you always want to use when you can is when you catch a destroyer broadside, especially in a ship like this, and especially with our commander and its build, you want to switch to the AP. As you can see, we are getting full penetrations on his broadside, and with our reload, yeah, this guy stood no chance. Like I said, I almost felt bad for abusing that lad as we did. We really don't have too much time to feel sorry for him, however, because we've got 2 targets of opportunity, and this is probably the best situation you want to put yourself in. Inside your smoke screen with permanent spotting and the option to DPM multiple different targets. As soon as we get 1 or 2 fires on this Republic, we're going to go ahead and try and switch to the other battleship. We are also paying attention to what that battleship is doing, and this one as well, especially the Bismarck though, because he does have that Hydro. I want to draw your attention away from the battle for just a moment and to the pings that I'm making to my friendly Friesland here. I called for intelligence data and then I called for smoke. And I think a few of you missed the points I was trying to make in yesterday's video about pinging obnoxiously. Guys, ping the minimap and call from support to your teammates and allies in necessary locations, and I said that in the video. What you should not do is ping like an obnoxious asshole, especially to the player who is attracting damage from over half the team and the only one to really do anything. But those pings that I made to the Friesland, he actually followed, as you guys can see right here. As soon as my smoke went up, he popped a smoke right in front. This Republic just shot, so he will be detected. However, if he does go dark, I am going to try and spot him for our friendly Friesland. So yes, guys, utilize pings and play accordingly, especially as a team. However, just because you ping someone that they have to go spot for you because you're sitting behind an island contributing absolutely nothing does not mean that they have to do so. So for those of you guys who cannot read context in a video, yeah, that's the point I was trying to make in yesterday's video. But anyway, back to the battle here. We have our second kill on that Republic. He honestly stood no chance. A huge shout out to this Friesland for providing that smoke screen. And now that we have some decent cap control on this flank, I'm going to go ahead and push out here. We have taken 0 damage. We still have 2 heals and 3 smoke screens available. I want to make it known that what I'm doing right now, pushing into the enemy backfield, is not a play I would recommend to a majority of players, especially in a game that is still this close. When you do this as a destroyer player, you end up getting cornered or caught by a majority of the enemy team that is still left. However, we knew that we had excellent control. We could see where the other ships were, and we had a huge zone to play with. If you can make this move and get away with it, it is a you're basically a thorn in the enemy's side. However, when most players do this or they avoid the cap and go around the boundary, in most cases you end up being more of a detriment to your team than a benefit. Seeing how open the middle was, however, we did have a great opportunity, and with how low that Lepanto was as well, and us getting 2 early kills, we absolutely had Kraken on our mind. At long range, it's questionable whether or not you should use AP on broadsides. However, at medium ranges, especially with the commander and the build we were running, you could absolutely choose to use AP on the superstructure and bow and stern plating of battleships and especially cruisers. With some stronger destroyers, not really the Lüshun, but we're thinking kind of the German Renaissance or heavy destroyers, they can absolutely citadel and destroy broadside cruisers. In order to be a little bit of a team player here, I went back and tried to help our friendly Friesland with this Bismarck and Atlantico. Initially, if you're lining up a torpedo strike, you really don't want to shoot as intelligent battleship players. That's kind of an oxymoron in and of itself. If they see you shooting, they will, they could potentially guess that there are torpedoes on the track and dodge accordingly. However, like I said, I wanted to be a team player and draw a little bit of attention away from our Friesland and also get the kill on that Bismarck. We did catch him with permanent fire, so we ended up shooting at the Atlantico. Unfortunately, we don't catch the kill on him. Once that Bismarck is eliminated and the Atlantico is focused on us, we dodge accordingly and pop our smoke in order to avoid some potential massive hits from those large secondaries on the Atlantico. Also, utilizing situational awareness, we turn around and see that the last remaining destroyer, the enemy Lüshun, is spotted behind us. He is outrunning his smoke and shooting, which is just never a smart play. I don't know why destroyer players do this. They continue to shoot while going full speed, outrunning their smoke, and instead of him smoking up and saving about half of his health, we target him and take probably 1/3 to half of his health because he didn't really want to smoke up there. After losing all but 5,000 or so-ish of his health, he decides to turn and focus on us, at which point, yeah, it's too late. We have him close enough to hydro range that I'm just going to go ahead and push in. He pops his hydro, but it doesn't matter. We have saved our hydro accordingly. We switch to the AP because he is broadside. Unfortunately enough for us, he gets lucky enough to get 1 or 2 bounces, which is just enough to save the kill for this New Jersey. So 2 kills yoinked away from us. However, it doesn't really matter because we are getting the appropriate eliminations. As I've mentioned so many times before, kills are truly irrelevant. As long as you're getting your ship in the right spots, you're getting the capture points. I don't care if you get 0 kills and not that much damage. As long as you put your ship in the right spot. Too many players are worried about kills, damage, etc. And notably, that is sort of what I'm doing in this game, playing a gunboat build. But you'll notice I followed the principles that a hunter-killer-destroyer or a destroyer with hydro and good guns followed. I went out and eliminated the enemy destroyer, we got the solo cap, and now we are kind of focused on damage hunting and or Kraken chasing. And right on cue, speaking of free damage, there is the enemy carrier spotted on the horizon. We're probably not going to be getting too much damage off of him with our low caliber guns. And of course, once we get a fire, we can wait 60 seconds and get another one. If we do get his broadside, we could absolutely load up the AP. But for the meantime, we're just going to stick with the HE. We're still getting a few good penetrations here, so the HE is doing its job. We get that fire, but of course the automatic damage con of the carrier takes over. And here is actually a little point or tip I want to give to you guys. If you hold LB or whatever it is on whichever console or mobile you're using, the overview camera, it will keep your point of aim at the same location. However, if the target is moving, it will change. So on stationary targets with DPM type ships, you can kind of hold that lead. However, if it does make any sort of adjustment or movement, it will change that lead and you will miss. The reason I use overview camera, however, and it's not really relevant in this game, is you have to pay attention to your surroundings. Too many players are focused on the binocular zoom and they don't have any situational awareness, and then they're like, oh, how did I eat torpedoes? How did I get dev struck? And yeah, utilizing that overview cam will prevent that from happening. The carrier went broadside here. He finally woke up and realized his team evaporated, so we went ahead and switched to the AP, and we get a beautiful elimination on the Piggy. It's always fun eliminating carriers, and would you look at that, there's one Marlboro left. We got yoinked on 2 kills, and we're only up to 3 with 1 remaining ship, so of course no Kraken. But with a few ticks of damage to this Marlboro here, we actually end up getting the high caliber, so a nice little participation trophy as we actually get that kill yoinked as well. But there she is, guys, the Lüshun full gunboat build. There's a few other builds that you could try. I will leave them up on the screen. We showed what we were running in this build earlier, but a 34-15 finish with first place on the leaderboard. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. It was a fun one. Again, go out, mix up the mold a little bit. I'm not saying that this is the pure best build. I honestly hate when community contributors do that. This agile build is the best build ever, or this tank build, what have you. There are builds that are certainly better and more competitive than this. However, like I said, playing the same game for 5 years can get very old, and I wanted to have a little bit of fun. So go out, do so in a team-oriented fashion. Communicate with your teammates, ping when necessary. I love you guys. Have a great day. I'm out. Peace.